So in this sequence, we are going to help reestablish the load-bearing joints, ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders, so your wrist and your hand don't have to take the force of a lot of your movement. So as I talked about in the intro, that when your shoulder starts to cave forward, your elbow starts to take a lot of your movement from your shoulder, but so do your hands and your wrists, and they end up kind of collapsing down. That's where a lot of carpal tunnel symptoms come into play. So this is going to help change that shoulder position, but we already know you can't change that shoulder position without changing what's underneath it. So that's why a lot of these exercises aren't solely focused on just rehabbing your hand, because you've probably tried that, and it's going to reestablish a better postural position so your hands don't have to do a lot of work. So now we're going to do some standing arm circles. So start with your feet parallel, slightly pigeon-toed, hip width apart. We're gonna make that golfer's grip position with our hands. You're gonna bring your arms down to your sides, engage your shoulder blades down and back so you're not really thrusting out your chest like this. We're just getting a slight retraction down and back here. We're gonna bring our arms straight out to the sides and make small circles here going forward, so you're going towards your thumbs. We're gonna do about 40, keeping those shoulder blades retracted. Now you can see how I'm kind of wobbling here. I'm not squeezing my abdominal muscles. I'm not getting a slight posterior tilt. I don't want that. All right, I want you to just be relaxed within your torso and let your arms do the work here. So we are reestablishing the ball and socket joint in your arms and changing your mid-back position. You might notice it. You might feel something all the way down into your feet because we're realigning the ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders. All right, go ahead and relax that there. Same thing, pull your shoulders down and back, arms straight out. Now rotate your hands up towards the sky so your thumbs now face the back of the room. And I like to do that when your arms are already out, so you can feel that rotation happening within your shoulder blades. And we're gonna go towards our thumbs, make circles to the back, opposite way, and same thing here. So I'm gonna count down from 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 20. I think that's kind of annoying, so I'm just gonna count in my head now. Or I probably just won't count. I'm not very good at counting and walking you guys through this. So making sure you keep your upper traps relaxed, so your neck muscles relaxed, and think more mid-back. Excellent, go ahead and relax. So this next one, you are gonna need a little bit of wall space. It's called standing wall clock. Now I'm gonna show you the foot position first, and then I'm gonna turn around and show you the arm position. So you're gonna bring your toes all the way together, really pigeon-toed, bring your heels out. You're gonna tighten up your quads, lock out your knees, and you might even notice that your pelvis slightly goes forward, so slightly tips forward in a more anterior tilt. So that is the foot position. Then you're gonna bring that all the way to the wall. So the front of your toes are touching the wall here. So now that we have the foot position down in that pigeon-toed position, I wanna show you what's going on with your arms, and then I'm gonna turn away from you, so please excuse me, because we are doing this facing the wall. So you're gonna make that golfer's grip position with your arms, and then we're going to bring our toes to the wall again, this time letting our stomach come onto the wall, our nose come onto the wall, and the forehead come onto the wall. You're gonna bring your arms straight up above your head, so at 12 o'clock here, and your hands are flat, still in that golfer's grip position. Now, keeping your elbows straight, we're going to rotate our thumbs towards the back and outside, pulling our shoulder blades down and back. So I'm not raising up, I'm not shrugging up. I'm gonna move my hair, so I'm not shrugging up. I'm pulling my shoulder blades down and back and rotating towards the outside. So I'm gonna set that timer, we're gonna hold it for 1 minute together. I want you to make sure you're breathing here and making sure that this is not a passive exercise. So you're constantly trying to get that external rotation of the arms. Don't forget your knees are still locked out, so we're changing our pelvis position here too.
Make sure you breathe. This is not a very easy exercise, especially for a lot of us that spend our day sat in a chair and we're rounded forward through our shoulders. We're not used to getting this external rotation in our arms. So keep rotating out, keeping those shoulders pulled down towards your bum. Take a couple breaths. You might feel a little shaky, you might feel some blood rushing back. All right, go ahead and relax. So now keeping that same foot position, we're gonna bring our arms to about 130 and 1030 and do the exact same thing. So rotating our thumbs back and out, pulling our shoulder blades down and holding for 1 minute. Keeping your stomach relaxed, keeping your feet in that same position, quads tight, knees locked, neck relaxed. You got this. Breathing, continuously rotating outward. Note if you're feeling a big difference between the two shoulders. This one is not easy, but it is one of my favorites for the shoulder position. Good, I'm still here with you, you got this. I know it might burn a little bit. Good, and rotate back onto the wall. So this last one, we're gonna bring our arms out to 3 and 9 o'clock, so straight out in that T, and do the exact same thing again. So rotating back and out, pulling those shoulders down and back. You might find that this is a little bit easier to do in this position. Really feel those shoulder blades being pulled down to your bum here. And continue breathing. So your hands are touching the wall. Sometimes if you feel like your neck is starting to engage, I like to just rock my head side to side to make sure that it's my lower shoulder blades and my mid back that's doing some work here, and not my neck, not my upper traps, because a lot of us already suffer from upper trap tightness. A lot of people hold their tension there. That's normally due to not being hip driven and being shoulder driven instead. We want to be hip driven again. And wake up those muscles throughout our back to hold our shoulders in a better alignment.
Excellent. So that was wall clock. You get a little face smush in it. So next we're going to do our supine groin stretch on towels this time. So if you're not familiar with the supine groin stretches, I put a video in the tower section that's going to explain a little bit more of why we do the supine groin stretch. Right now I'm just going to show you the modifications. So you're going to bring your leg bent at 90 degrees over your block or your couch or whatever you have, and the other leg stretched out long. Doesn't really matter which leg you start with. You're going to take some rolls here. Now I have actual rolls made for this. You can use a bath towel and roll it up to be about 2 to 3 inches. And you're going to stick one under your belly button and the other under your cervical spine, so your neck. I like to place it kind of at the bottom of my, or the top of my shoulders, or the bottom of my neck. All right, and then you're gonna relax your palms facing up here. You're gonna feel that kind of openness in your shoulders. Now you might be feeling quite a bit of stretch in your hip, and that's what we want in this position. So also note that I have my bolster here, so you can't really see my foot. That's because I want to make sure that foot is facing straight up into the sky and not everting out like this, because that's not going to get into that hip like we want it to. So you can use a wall, you can use whatever you have to make sure that foot stays straight. You don't have to actively pull your toes back, because you want this to be a passive, relaxing exercise. And so just having something to prop your foot up. So you might be asking, what does this have to do with your wrist and carpal tunnel syndrome and hand symptoms? And if you haven't learned anything from your membership so far, I hope you take this away, is that the whole body is connected, and we have to realign the lower extremities to make a chain reaction into your hands. So right now we're realigning the pelvis, bringing the psoas to a proper level. We're also re-establishing the S-curve in our spine here. So with this lumbar roll, with this cervical roll, we're getting that proper S-curve back into our spine. Then our shoulder can make a change in position. Our elbow can relax into a better structural position, and our hands no longer are left alone to do all of their work on their own. So lay here for about 15 minutes on one side and then switch over to the other side for 15 minutes as well. So we are going to finish off with our trusty air bench. So this is kind of like a wall sit, but not exactly. So you're gonna bring your feet hip width, slightly pigeon-toed again. You're gonna walk your feet out, making sure they stay in alignment as I go out of camera. Then you're gonna sit down. You can bring your upper leg parallel with the ground, but make sure this is more like a 100-degree angle, not so much a 90-degree angle. So I want to still be able to see my toes. Weight in the heels. Now here's the kicker. I want you to press your lower back into the wall and flatten out your lower back. So if I was there with you and I tried to slide my hand behind your back, I wouldn't be able to do that because it's so flat against the wall. Now, if it's comfortable for you, you can bring your shoulders and your head on the wall, but make sure you're not sacrificing that lower back against the wall. Now, if that's not available to you, that's totally fine. Your head can comfortably come off the wall and be floating there. So, making sure you can even look down at your knees and make sure that they're in alignment. That's going to tell you if your hips are still out of whack or if they're in a better alignment. So you can look at the level of your knees, see if one knee is coming more forward than the other. So you might be feeling the burn, making sure that you don't collapse your knees together and you really make sure the knees stay in line with your foot and your hip. I like to bring my palms up here because as you go, you're going to get tired and you're going to want to push on your quads. So you can work your way up to 2 minutes. I'd rather you start at a lesser time and be lower to the ground, more parallel with your upper leg bone. So start at 15 seconds. That's totally fine. I'd rather you do that and be lower than do 2 minutes but only have a slight angle in your knees. Now, if you do have a history of knee pain, you can come up the wall, lessen that angle in your knees, and see if that helps. If it doesn't, and you have knee pain, then just don't do this exercise. But you can always try it to see if this exercise particularly works. I've had people on their way to knee replacements that can still do this exercise. So to come off the wall, put your hands behind you, and you're gonna push yourself off the wall.